judge will hear a lawsuit from the Washington Federal State Employees Union trying to halt the governor's vaccine mandate.
So Q13's Brandi Kruse joins us live. And Brandi, essentially, they want an extension on the October 18th deadline.
Yeah, the Washington Federation of State Employees is saying we're not anti-vaccine. You know, we've encouraged people to get the vaccine, but they say they're trying to protect the sanctity of the rights that they believe that their union members have. And so they had sent out an email to members of their union explaining why they were taking this action against the governor. I want to read part of the statement they sent out to the members, saying whenever an employer changes your conditions of employment, they are obligated to negotiate the effects of those changes with your union. The state of Washington has failed to meet this obligation. They went on to outline a couple of the questions or expectations they have of the state under the vaccine mandate. So they say that they want to make sure that the state has a fair and consistent process for determining exemptions, accommodations. They said they also want the state to have a plan to address what is likely to be a serious staffing issue in some areas for employees. If you've got, state troopers or firefighters or hospital staff who get fired over this, is there a plan to address in a fair way the staffing crisis that will result from that? And then also, does the state have a plan to assist with what is the vaccination of more than 500,000 people? Is the state planning to facilitate that, or is every employee sort of out on their own in that regard to figure out something? And, the staffing crisis, and that is a serious concern here. We've talked this morning about low hospital staffing, which is resulting in some pretty serious circumstances at hospitals across the state. And we have to have an honest and realistic conversation about what it would mean if the state, the city of Seattle, King County moves forward with firing employees. I mean, you're talking about police officers in Seattle, for instance, firefighters in areas of the state. And so that question that the Federation of State Employees has about the state, okay, if we lose X a number of employees, what does that mean for the union employees that are left? Are they going to have to work longer hours? What does that mean for bargaining? And so that is really what the union is asking. They want a pause on this. That doesn't mean that eventually, they won't come to some terms where they would agree to the mandate. But for now, they want to hold the brakes.
Right. And we've talked about this before. You have said that you are not convinced that the state or the county will follow through with firing folks who are unvaccinated.
Yeah, and this isn't Brandi just floating a conspiracy theory telling people, oh, don't worry, they won't call your bluff. This is based on interviews we have done with the mayor of Seattle, the superintendent of public instruction, where we have asked them flat out, are you going to fire Seattle police officers? Are you going to fire teachers on October 18th? And in both instances, they either wouldn't answer that question directly or answered it in a way that suggested that no, they weren't. Do you mean to tell me that come October the 18th, you will fire Seattle police officers who do not have a vaccine?
My best, what I believe is going to happen is most police officers are going to get this vaccination.
No, we're not going to fire a bunch of teachers. They do have to walk right up to that line, though, and say, am I not going to get this despite the science because of this deep conviction I have? And if that's their answer, then that's okay.
And look, I'm not telling you, certainly you need to make a decision for yourself about what you think the state is going to do. For those who don't want a vaccine, it is your job on the line. And I will say, in regards to the lawsuit happening today, the clock is still really ticking. For instance, it can take up to 6 weeks to be fully vaccinated. So if you go backwards from that October 18th deadline, that means a lot of people are going to have to Monday would be the day where you're going to have to start to get that vaccination, that first dose, if you're going with one of the 2-dose regimens. And so that's not a lot of time for state employees to make a decision here or to see what the result of this lawsuit is going to be. And so, that's a real concern. And as for how many employees this actually would affect, the reality is right now, we do not know how many employees under the mandate are unvaccinated. There's not a clear number. But if you've got about 800,000 employees under the mandate and you assume that the rate of unvaccination is the same as the general population, that's roughly 20 to 25% of 800,000 people. That is quite a few, and especially in those eastern counties where we know the vaccination rate is much, much lower amongst the general population.
All right, Brandi, appreciate it. Yep. Thank you.